Let me know if you can't get to it after the live, and then I'll send you the link. And then Kevin said I had to look up the meaning of just. I never connected moral and fair to its meaning. Okay, wow. Okay, got it. So the purpose of this this poem was to start with just because and then doesn't mean until you get to the last line. So that was the formatting. So the first and second sentences match and rhyme, and then you move on, and then you move on, and then you move on, because there are a lot of things that happen in life and you don't really pay attention to it. So I wanted to shed some light on those things, and then say just because. Just because. We say just because. People say that together all the time, but it doesn't. So just because something is this doesn't mean that it has to be something else. It's not true. This isn't A plus B equals C. So just because I grew up in Detroit doesn't mean I needed to stay in the hood. That's a perfect example. So the stuck Malays and the stands will literally have you saying, this is how it is. Just because it's this, it doesn't mean it has to stay that way. It doesn't mean what the unaccountables are telling you that it actually means. Okay, follow up from yesterday. What conversations did you have about two people about what you wired? So how did that conversation, your wired conversation, go with people? And remember ... so that I know you're thinking and I'm here and you're here and you didn't bounce out, get kicked out. And while you're doing that, what I will say is definitely start looking up words, because back in the day, if you had your dictionary, that was the definition. You looked it up, that was it. You didn't have the ability to use the internet. And what I like about being able to research or look up a word is that now all of the dictionaries are online. So I will look at Oxford's, Webster's, Merriam, and other meanings, the full meaning of it. And then you have to look at if it's a noun, if it's a verb, if it's an adverb, all of the different contexts of the word. Because you could be thinking about the first meaning and it could be the sixth meaning. And that's what I do with the PAs for today, is I usually pick out the not popular definition of the word, especially as you get into further past 60 days of the PA for today. I definitely am using the definition of the word, because word choice matters. And I say that all the time. Choose your words wisely. And Nola knows that when I hear a word, so she'll show me something and I'll say, what did the client say? And then like one client says specifically in the thing, I specifically said, and she was a problem. And I picked it out by her using specifically. It's like, and I still refer to her as Miss Specifically to this point. And she had to change her tune because she bought the wrong mirrors and it wasn't going right. So then she had to totally specifically understand what we were doing. But word choice actually does matter. It does. It definitely does. So if you think about constructive criticism versus performance focused feedback, in theory, people think they're telling you how to improve. One is true, one is not true. When you start looking up those words, it also increases your own personal lexicon, your own vocabulary. And now you have these words that you are using because it's just naturally part of your communication, your ability to communicate effectively, and doesn't have anything with you trying to showboat and show off how many 4, 5, 6 syllable words you know how to pronounce. Because even people that have these advanced vocabularies, when it's time to communicate effectively, they can't bring those words down to be able to explain it to a different group of people that aren't necessarily in your industry. And that's what I find myself experiencing when I'm studying these neuroscientists, is they are used to talking to their peers in their industry. And so even when they think they've brought it down so that a layperson can understand it, not so much. That's why it takes me so long to understand the concept, because I got to go look on different platforms, research it, look it up, look for articles and everything else. Especially yesterday when we were talking about how neuroplasticity and the synapse and the LTP and all that. I was several days on understanding that process. So what was your conversation yesterday about being wired?